All right. We'll now call the joint CRA board meeting to order for Monday, January 5th. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be given by board member Bill Jarrett. Be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Here.
Councilmember McKeer?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Here.
Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Member Lanifer? Here. Member Jarrett? Here. Member Sevenine? Member Shepherd? Member Downey? Here. Member Snell? And Member Haynes.
Okay. We get everybody?
I think so.
Okay. All right. First up, we have the consent agenda. This will be items 1 through 3. Is there any of these items we wish to remove? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve B 1 through 3.
We have a motion. We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McKeer?
Yes.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Under action agenda, SBC, item 1, we have the CRA master plan extension and service contract.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming for this joint session. We don't have a whole lot to talk about. The first on our last meeting, we had 2 quotes, piggyback contracts for a master plan update. It was requested the board suggested we go get a third. That company that was suggested, which did the last prior master plan update, is no longer in business. I reached out to a few other companies and was able to get a third through Redevelopment Management Services that goes by RMS. Their quote was between $50,000 and $70,000 range, so they were in line with GAI Consultants. So we have 2 piggybacks with GAI, Inspire Placemaking, and then there is a third quote included in the package.
Okay. Do we have any questions on these bids? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve C1 to the lowest bidder. It was the piggyback out of the city of Palm Bay, Florida. I was trying to find, yes, to GAI.
All right, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was asking if the members of the advisory board had reviewed those also.
Okay. Once again, I ask for any future comments. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McKeer?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right, item number 2, C2, this will be CRA status presentation. Jessica, whenever you're ready.
Sure. So this will be my last meeting with the CRA, so I just wanted the opportunity to do a full overview of where we started April 2025 till now. Jeanette she has access to all of my files, documentation, emails, phone, so she has everything. If there's any questions, she's going to be your point of contact. So I'm just going to run through where we have been. This is going to be a discussion conversation. Again, this is just so as you continue to move forward, you know where we've been over the last 10 months. And so if you want to go to the next slide. So I think we've done a lot of vision casting, we did 4 town hall workshops. Next slide. We can kind of go through these. Next slide. We've really narrowed down what the purpose, what we've been doing, what we should be doing. Next slide. And our funding, we spent quite a bit of time this summer going over our budget and allocating all of the funds that were in our balance remaining. And so we'll go next slide. And really focusing, we haven't talked a whole lot about airport, but we've really focused on Main Street, the Main Street corridor over the last 10 months and South Side, and coming up with a good plan for that. Next slide. We all know now what funds, CRA funds can and cannot support. Next slide. These are just a lot of the ideas that we talked about, the block blitz. Next slide. The modern park updates. Next slide. The mall mile trail concept, we spent a lot of time on that. Next slide. Public art grants, we did a workshop on that and ultimately decided, because it doesn't specifically say art in the master plan, that we were going to forego that for now, but hopefully include that in additional updates to the master plan. Next slide. Sidewalk activation grant, we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Next slide. Signage installation and restoration, we've talked quite a bit about logos, banners, wayfinding signage. Next slide. Planner, banner, and streetscaping. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight. Next slide. Our town hall workshops. So with this master plan update, the reason we were able to get these prices down is because we've done a lot of the groundwork ourselves with these town hall workshops. And so that means they're not going to have to come here as often to do those types of sessions. So they're really going to take what we have talked about over the last 10 months, what's happened in these workshops, and what's currently in the plan to do those updates. Next slide. Business recruitment. We've discussed a lot of what is missing in downtown Avon Park, good opportunities of where those businesses should go and how we can help them. I would love to see in future budget cycles that we potentially take on some type of small business incentives to help those small businesses get started outside of the brick and mortars. Next slide. We finished up 48 grants over the last 12 months. Next slide. We have, we'll kind of just touch on the budget real quick. So for Main Street, it's almost $2 million we have in our total fund for Main Street. The way that's allocated is 18% to grants, 15% to the mall, 15% to signage, 46% to parks, and 7% to operating. Next slide. South Side, we have a little under $1 million to spend there. That was allocated 8% to grants, 23% to piers and seawall, 12% to signage, 12% to the Memorial Garden, almost 40% to lighting on Memorial, and Safe Streets to School. There's some grant for that, but we're going to pull that from the South Side budget and 5% operating. Next slide. Airport, there's not a lot there. There's about $250,000 total, 41% in signage, 26% we said that we could spend out at the airport, 13% to Classic Palladiums, and 20% to Dura Martin. Next slide. Over the course of the 10 months, we've spent a lot of time on collaboration, partnerships, community engagement, project and infrastructure, planning and administration, and branding and professional development. Next slide. When we went through this exercise with the public, it was ultimately decided that number 3 was the winning gateway sign with an actual depiction of the bandstand. Next slide. You had asked at the last meeting in October that we go out to the public and get some ideas and thoughts on logos. And next slide. Of those, this is what was their top picks. I can't really see, there's a big glare there, but I think it's almost 50% was number 1. And then it was almost about 10% for the final 3. Do you want to stop there and talk a little bit about logos? Do you want a logo on the gateway sign? I guess we could ask that question.
Okay. Any comments?
I have a comment. We put out an RFP, so there's currently an RFP out. I went back and looked at the meeting that y'all had where, or just can you go back, or can we go back a couple slides to where the entrance signs? Okay, so the one on the bottom right, that's currently what's out for RFP, so that's in place now to go get pricing on that, is to carry the same color of the lettering, the same design, just for them to come up with, if they have the brick a certain way, if they gonna, like, whatever it is that they're gonna do, if they're gonna knock it down, they're gonna leave it standing, just the means and methods, but it ultimately needs to look like that. And it is on it's on an RFQ type basis, so where there's a point scoring, so when we look at it, it is, if we like a certain design and ask them to give us different price points, but it's just for the 2. It's for the north and the south signs. So that's in place right now. And whatever we get back, then we'll bring in front of you all to see. But I told them per the meeting, you guys stated that that's what you desired, and that's what we went with. And you all had a vote on it, so that's what we moved forward with, to put this into action.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Well, I do like the logo, the 48% logo, but when you put it on the sign, it says Avon Park at the bottom of the little ribbon that goes across. But then you also have Avon Park on the sign. I just kind of feel like that's a little bit of a redundancy there.
Yeah.
But
The logo's not for that sign, right? The entry sign.
No, I mean that's what we're going with, because what I requested is that to have something that looks good to where it can come off the sign.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to have, I don't want a screen print, because if you get too into detail, then ultimately it has to be printed out. It's going to be really hard for them to make that.
Yeah.
If you recall, one of the designs that was like I think it had like 2 colors, but it was pretty simple in design. It looked pretty nice, but this one here will end up having it made, and it should stand the elements of the sun and everything else, and it should look pretty good. But the more in detail, like to try to get a lake and the buildings, it would be really hard to get that on the sign, on the gateway signs.
So to your question, you were asking were they going to put that actually on the sign?
right, I misunderstood. I thought Jessica was asking, did we want to put the logo on the sign? And I just think that the logo is too much for the sign. But I like the logo. I mean, we could utilize the logo in other places.
Ooh, what I was about to ask is that third sign on the bottom. Can we just stick with that picture that is on that?
Oh yeah, I don't like that one. Yeah.
For the 2 entry signs, and then whenever if you want a letterhead or whatever you want there,
Yeah,
that's easy.
Yes.
Would that be an issue?
And I used the same exact what y'all approved, so I went back because I didn't want to go over what your vote was. And I'm using the same thing that you had there, and I think that works out pretty good, because trying to get the plants and everything, I think that's on the other one when you look at it. We go back to that other sign, please. So you see how that looks up there?
Right.
It's just going to look like that on the bottom right.
Okay.
And then that way it's it's got a little bit of the black and red effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that looks good, what y'all chose.
Is there anyone opposed to that?
So let me make sure I understand this right here. The logo is going to be placed on this bottom right.
No. No, the entry signs on the highway will be that exact bottom right. Yeah. Correct.
Okay, now go back to the logo. Yeah, right there, north and south. Okay, and then the logo is gonna be placed where?
This would be on letterheads.
And the water tower and
Did-
stuff like that?
The sign.
Cause what's on
Yeah.
the, keep going, Melissa, cause what's on the water tower now is the first, the bottom right. That's what's on the water towers now. So they're gonna be replaced on the water towers, the new logo?
It would be up to y'all, but I mean, it doesn't differ too much from that. So I mean, like, we'd have to replace that, and we'd have to go around replacing them. I think,
I guess my question is, why change it if we're not gonna go and replace them? Why would we have two logos around it? I'm asking.
I agree with you. I think the other one is just easier to make on the sign itself, so that sign is a little bit easier for them to make. Say if they're doing a piece of metal or something that's getting mounted on there, it won't have that fine definition, but it's very close in color and everything. Because there's not going to be color on that on the sign. It's just going to be the red, but it's not going to have blue background, white. It's just going to be that color that you saw before.
So when you say it's not gonna have the color on the sign, what sign are we talking about? The north and south or the logo?
Talking about the roadway signs.
The roadway
north and south.
signs, the entrance, yeah, yes, ma'am.
Where the logo ideas came from is we were talking about signage. We have about $500,000 allocated, and if we want to put the logo on the signage or not, and if we are, do we want to stick with the logo as is for the next 30 years, or do we want the signage to not have the logo so that there is some flexibility there? So that's
How
where
many
we-
people voted in that?
There was over 1,000 impressions, so there was about 800 votes.
We don't know if they're unique or not.
They had profiles, so
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming.
I see. But someone can't just go on there and click it 100 times or something.
No.
Okay. I mean, yeah, with 800 votes, I mean, I would say it's a pretty decent referendum on those four images there. So
Do we have any idea of what it would cost to go out and change all of our current, wherever that original logo is at? You know, paperwork's not a big deal, but if Bernice is talking about like the water tower and that big sign back there, do we have any idea of all of the locations that we would need to replace?
Or do anybody know where they are? How many water towers do we have?
That's on the side of the water tower, the one that's over here in Walnut Street Park. They're put up there.
yeah, they're putting all of our big water storage tanks on the ground as well. So all of our vehicles, a lot of small signage that they create. Obviously, all the shirts.
And that one was recently, it was updated, that water, when we made the repairs over there. So that was frequent fresh paint and everything. I don't recall seeing the logo on some of the other ones, because it's within the airport, and I think we may have one in Crystal Lake.
Sure.
So would it be an issue if we left our official logo the same, but then still used the newer pretty stuff on the banners and the the signage that's like going down Main Street and stuff like that? It wouldn't officially have to have our logo on it. We could be creative and expressive
that's
with
new.
that without officially changing the logo.
Yeah. Anything that's new, I see, that's a good point. Why change everything existing? That's just
But
cost.
what's the purpose of having her spend all that time and asking? We told her that we wanted a new logo. Then she went online and got all these different votes. So shouldn't that have been a decision we made before we went through all of this?
I think we were talking a lot about banners and signage, like
No, we was
down.
talking about the water tower logos as well, because I remember the water towers coming
Well,
up.
signage down Main Street and stuff like that, but, I mean, if you're talking about changing the logo on every single vehicle, the water tower, I mean, I think before committing to something like that, I think we would need to see a cost basis for that. And I feel like in the meantime, I don't think we should stagnate the banner ordering and any of that kind of stuff. I feel like we could still be creative with that and implement the new designs while still not committing to changing the official logo of the city.
And I agree with you. We should at least know what the price is gonna be on all of this, but having two different logos,
Well, a lot of cities don't put their actual logo like on their signage that goes down Main Street because it's to advertise new or special events or characteristics, or like the museum or the college, the Jacaranda. It's meant to advertise those types of things, not necessarily have the logo of the actual city on it. So if you go down to her designs that she has of all of these banners, none of them have the logo on it.
right. So what are you saying? We get a price range of everything and revisit this possibly
Again?
again?
Well, I feel like I don't want to stop as far as getting the signage and things like that, but I feel like before changing any kind of major logo, we should get a cost analysis to see exactly what we're looking at, but then still go ahead with the banners and the signage and all of that kind of good stuff.
Well, it seems like we could do it in phases. You have phase one, you do letterheads, blah, 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 blah. And then you establish what's going to be in phase two and phase three and just kind of phase them out until maybe a year or two down the road, we're fully in with the new logo with the 48%, what the people asked for. With the red,
Did you have a
get rid
comment,
of the
ma'am,
blue.
or?
The blue.
Got it.
I agree with that too.
Yep, and then the other question is, can the CRA actually pay to relogo all of our vehicles and things like that? Is it? I mean, obviously, it could do a water tower that's in the main street. It could do a water tower that's in whatever South Side district or airport. But can it do vehicles and everything as well? Okay. And then uniforms and on and on and on. So it's very clear that everybody up here wants to see that new logo on paperwork, on propaganda for promoting certain things and all that, and banners. So, I mean, why don't we do that? Let's find out what exactly we can and can't pay for with the CRA, and what it would cost the city versus the CRA for all the individual things. And once we have an actual comprehensive number, then we'll make that decision.
I think we have a good price point there. So we had a total of what we could spend on the signs. Maybe we don't get to that number, whatever cost savings, and we can go get the stickers, like you said, and then push out and on the water towers, get those taken care of. And then the others, just changing the papers out is no problem. I think it's a good idea, phasing. I think that worked well.
Good idea.
Okay.
I like that.
So the uniforms, do we have the gazebo on gazebo or bandstand, whichever one everybody's calling it. Okay, so is that on the bright orange or the bright yellow shirts also, or are those just one standard color?
I think there's in, I think they're usually like a black color,
black,
just a
okay.
solid. It
Okay.
doesn't go into detail like that's a pretty big patch. I think that's special for Randy right there.
So the only uniforms that really would be the polos, right? The polos and the jackets and sweaters. Okay.
Yes, and once you try to get into that detail, I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to see, but I think that would look excellent on, letterheads and maybe some stickers that we can do that, but on uniform, it's going to be really hard for them to get that look. Because the bigger, also on uniforms, the bigger the patch, the hotter it is for the guys that are, some of the people that are out there working.
Okay. So do we need a motion to that effect, or consent of direction? And is there any feedback from the advisory board?
I think consent is okay.
Okay. Hearing no objections, that's the way we'll go. What you got next?
Okay, so just so I understand, Gateway, there's going to be no logo. It's just going to be the bandstand, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Logo postponed. And banners, next slide. Oh, sorry, there was this. So I had worked on the one on the top, and there is another option. I worked with a graphic artist, Christy Harris, Christy Creatives, and she came up with the one on the bottom. So when you get to the logo portion, there is clearly a multitude of options for whenever that time arises. So option 2 is on the bottom from a graphic artist locally, who's helped the city of Sebring CRA. Next slide. So she's also helped me with banners. This is something we started talking about back in our first meeting in May. And the idea I pitched to her was, when I'm traveling in other areas, people say there's nothing to do here in Avon Park. So how can we use beautiful signage as a way to not only say what there is to do here, but also beautify as a revitalization tool as well. So this is the banner she came up with. We obviously have the bandstand, baseball. We have the college here. There's golf, the train museum. Next slide. What's that? The Jacaranda. It's really hard to see the TV from here. I think that's Caladiums and the lake. So I don't know what the first one was. And then shopping and dining. So these were, 10 banners, spacing them out all throughout Main Street. We can come up with a different subsect of this if we want to do either the same or something more different in Southside. But again, these would be permanent banners that would be up all the time, because CRA can only pay for permanent signage.
So are these going to be on the left side on the big concrete poles, or on our poles, the little black poles on the side?
The little light poles where they put the
Okay.
so during Christmas you would space it out, like every 4 they would stay on there permanently, and then you could do Christmas if someone wanted to do more temporary signage throughout the year. Obviously the colors can change, but keep these up for 2 or 3 years and then change them out as needed. We could pretty much outfit all of Main Street with the hardware and the banners for about $50,000.
And so I understand, Jessica, all these, I think you showed us what, 10 banners?
10, yes.
All of them will be showing at one time. You're not asking us to choose one particular banner. You're saying as you're riding down Main Street, you can see all these different banners.
Yes, so we talked a lot about colors and what do we want Avon Park to resemble, and the color palettes and things like that. And everybody screams color. So we made them colorful, and it would be all the banners spaced throughout all of Main Street. So there would be about, I don't remember the quantity, but I think there's about 4 of each that would be displayed.
Right here, Melissa, can you take it back on screen? I want to see the other one.
I think they're pretty cool, actually. I think they did a great job.
We have a cost of roughly $50,000 to do all that. Is there any feedback on that project? Everybody like it?
Oh, it's permanent, so I like it.
So explain to me one more time, and I apologize. You said that there would only be 4. Okay.
About 4 of
Actually,
each.
it's 10 of them total.
Okay, there's 10 of them, but we would only display 4 each at a time, spaced out?
No, you would do all of them and then
Okay.
start over again.
Okay.
So
Also, all 10 would be. Okay.
yeah, and I want to pull up the numbers here. I wasn't ready for that question, but yeah, and it would be on both sides of the street. So you would have, Jacaranda, lakes, whatever, and it would keep repeating until you got to the end of Main Street.
Okay, my next question, Jessica, is just a question. Okay?
Yeah.
Would any of these represent different holidays? Like Thanksgiving, Christmas, would they just be representing the city itself, not a particular holiday? Because the reason why I'm asking is, although this can work for Christmas, I would really thought that somewhere we would have threw some Christmas banners in here as well. So when Christmas comes, we can have Christmas banners up as well. No? You understand my question?
Pull your microphone to you there.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying, if we say yeah to this and we order these 10 banners, then when the holidays come, what are we gonna do for the holidays? Are we gonna have holidays banners up, or are we gonna still be presenting these during the holiday? It's just a question.
Yeah, of course. So these would be permanent signage. So if an organization wanted to do temporary banners, like holiday banners, things like that, obviously it gets a little bit with the color palette here. So you'd want to go with something that was still going to match what's currently there. But let's say you had this on pole 1 and 6, the temporary would be on pole 3. So you have some spacing. So that's how you would be able to incorporate both.
Do you know how many poles we have total?
Not quite sure, but it'd be my recommendation maybe in the downtown area, we could put it on the poles, but after that, space them out, once every 3 poles or 4 poles, and then do it like that.
In the mall area. Those black, yes.
What did you suggest, Jason? What did you say?
So instead of having every single pole, maybe we could space it out, but downtown, we can have every pole, just to have some of the spacing. It's a large amount of signs that we'd be putting up.
So you're saying up toward 27, only have them every couple, but
Yeah,
then in
like if
downtown.
you can maybe do every other or something that seems pretty good, but it doesn't look like, I don't know,
I think
say
that would
just
look-
have too many signs out there. Sometimes it's like a lot at you.
Yeah, but then it would look like one was missing, or 2 was missing. It would look inconsistent.
Need a
Yes, sir.
Sign designer.
Good evening, Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park. I love these. We have let's call it a new resource in downtown Avon Park in the form of the kiosk that's been placed. And when I look at these, I can't help but think that every one of them at the top says, "Welcome to Avon Park," or "Welcome to Avon Park" on every single one of the 10. And in addition to these signage, I think it would be great if the CRA could reach out to the TDC to find out whether the technology that is within the kiosk itself would allow digital renderings of each of these to be loaded into the software so that they could rotate through the home screen. Maybe in intervals of 5 minutes at a time, or every time somebody accesses, if it goes back to home as a default, it then displays another one of the banners. Because I think that would also give people, as they walk by or they see it, a different view each time that they go past the kiosk. And I think the technology is probably there. They would have to work with their software engineers, the people that they contract with. But if they're just a digital rendering that they can submit to them, and that there's a timer of some description that could be set to where they would rotate through, that would just be an added resource, to coincide with the banners as they're displayed on Main Street. I don't know if they would be willing, but it's certainly an ask.
Absolutely. Okay, any other comments, questions? You say it was 3 years there, Jessica?
It really depends on how many hurricanes we get.
Okay.
But but they do. Depending on where you get them, the manufacturer, this umbrella fabric usually holds up pretty well, and they have the slits where some wind has some wind variance there.
And,
Yep. Yep.
and Miss Jessica, I know we got different writings and different, pictures on each one of them, but what is the average like of one of these banners? What's the average price?
The average cost per banner.
Uh-huh.
It depends on the sizes on here, and I had went down and counted every pole, and I can't find how many we had, but I only had about 24 poles, so about 2 of these throughout Main Street, because right now people are going pretty fast, so you don't want to miss them either. So there's no point in having every pole, obviously. But I think a 24 by 48 is about $300 a banner. Now you can get smaller ones, but you want it to be big enough for when you're driving by. You can see it. Those light poles out there are pretty small, so you don't want anything too big.
And what is the length?
It's a 2 foot by 4 foot, but you can do a 2 by 3 as well.
2 foot by 4 foot. Now, you know how you have the banner hanging to the top? Is there gonna be something that's gonna secure the banner to the bottom, or does it just flop?
No, yeah, there's banner hardware that keeps
So
it in
holds
place.
Top and the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just her initial rough draft, and so I at least wanted to get it in here so you saw it, you can think about it. I don't know that you want to, if you want to vote on it tonight or not, if we want to go ahead and move forward with it, if you want changes to it, but I at least, before she went any further, present it just to see what initial thoughts were, and if you go down most vibrant downtowns, this is pretty much a staple there, so.
One suggestion, do you think that all of the different colors are necessary, or do you think it might be better to pick 2 or 3 colors that keep rotating? Just because as the seasons go on, if you want to actually put other holiday decorations, are they going to get lost in the random colors that we have here?
And I think the lighter colors are gonna fade pretty quick too, like that light blue and that pink.
Any thoughts on narrowing down the amount of colors, or anybody care?
Well, here's my thought, Mayor. Doing regular month to month, them all look kind of drab to me. I mean, you can't even get the grass to be green in most days, right?
We can paint
So, you know, during the holidays, you know, it's a little bit more festive down the mall, but, you know, everything in the mall seems to be green, other than when Jason sent his team out there and they put some greenery out there, but we don't have a lot of colors on the mall. We just don't. Like flowers, beautiful, you know, bird of paradise, all that stuff. We don't have a lot of color flowers on the mall. So I feel as though if we can get some color somewhere else, because we sure enough ain't getting it on the ground, so I thought the colors would be pretty. They're kind of soft. They're not too loud.
But I think if you have like the lighter color, like that light blue and that white, I don't think you're gonna be able to see it when if you're walking on Main Street, you may be able to see it, but I don't think there's a big enough contrast. Like the dark colors, you can actually see when you're going, you know, at a decent speed or whatever, but even the yellow and white is kind of cutting it close in my opinion, but that light blue and that light pink, I don't think there's gonna be enough differentiation between the two colors to be able to see it and read it.
And my other thing, I think you did a great job, Jessica. I think you did a great job. Hate to see you leave, okay? But I don't know. This town has always tried to make Avon Park baseball city, okay? I get it. I get the history here. Me personally, I don't know if there's anybody else out of the city of Avon Park that made it into the pros of baseball. I just know 2. Not taken away from nobody else. I just know 2. But there's also guys that made it into the pros of football. What we like to say, baseball city, home of legend. I know 2 guys that made it into the pros right here in Avon Park. So I keep going back to that. When, you know, let's not disrespect the other sports as well. That's just me.
No, that's a good point. And, you know, we can incorporate, we can change these. Maybe it's home of champions. Again, we can go back to that, and we could use different sports. You know, there's ways she can design whatever you want. She was a great partner in this. I kind of came up with the idea, and she ran with it. So
I guess what I'm saying, not to cut you off, I guess what I'm saying, if you can say baseball city, home of legend, you can say football city, home of legend. We can have a baseball and a football, but it don't have to be just a baseball. I think we disrespect our athletes when we do that.
okay.
It's just me talking personally.
You want basketball too?
No, we ain't had nobody. I'm the only basketball that came through here. I'm the only basketball. It ain't gonna
there you
never
go.
be anymore. I didn't go into no pros or nothing like that. But the 2 football players that I know, they made it into the pros.
Okay.
So
So would you like me to go back to her to come up with some different ideas? Or, I mean, we have to just tell me where you'd like to go.
well, I guess what I'm saying is, home of legends. Why it has to be baseball city?
Ms. Taylor,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I make can I piggyback off your thing? And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what if we were to combine all the sports like golf and baseball, make
how-
that one tab somehow? incorporate all the sports. I know because there's some people here too that have gone on to soccer. They're very big in soccer. The football, the track. So incorporate all of the sports in one tab, one flag.
I could do that. I could do that.
Now the wording, how everybody wants to word it in the picture, that we'll leave that to the professional. But I think we should just maybe incorporate all the sports on one
I
flag.
can go with that.
So if we incorporate all the sports into one, is there any cornerstone missing off of these?
Largemouth bass.
I
Yeah.
was waiting for pickleball.
We don't have,
we may do fishing instead of Donaldson Park. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would
The
not
lakes.
think of these necessarily as just highlighting a particular sport, but try to do things that would inspire somebody to do a particular activity that they can go and do in Avon Park. So, like golfing is a good one because you want people to go to golf courses and play golf and spend their money and have lunch and yada yada yada, right? So, with baseball, though you're not going to probably inspire someone to go create a baseball league that then goes and plays games and creates fans that way, you might inspire people to go to the baseball museum. With football, I'm not aware of anything in Avon Park that you can go and pay to do any football activity other than some sort of little league or something. So
the
with
high school.
fishing, I mean, it can be. We certainly are known for our lakes in this area, but just think about it from an activity perspective, more so than just highlighting what Avon Park has done in the past. You're also trying to encourage people to want to do things while they're here, because this is not just for people that live here. It's for people that are passing through that don't necessarily know anything about Avon Park, but they may want to this inspire them to go do something right then and there, kind of thing.
Like the college one's a good one too. Performing
Yeah.
arts, so those will watch that.
Right.
And I'm with Brittany. I say take that Donaldson Park thing out and put lakes. Because we have a lot of lakes of fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is if somebody's coming down Main Street and obviously they see the old buildings, but what else is there to do here? And so through signage, we can say there's lots of history here. There's lots to do here, whether that's scuba diving or paddling or fishing or golfing or, go to the museum or whatever. So that was the thought process behind the way these were designed.
Yes, I think the short answer is certainly more designs would probably be a good thing.
Okay.
Obviously, we're going to need to know what the actual cost is. What are the banners versus what are the mounts? Is there any benefit to buying more banners that we then change out on certain intervals? Buying more for multiple years in one shot to get them cheaper. Anything like that? Is there multiple material options? How long are they going to last? Are they warranted? Yada yada.
Okay. Got all that.
One more thing, Jessica. This one that say rooted in history, that's the, what is that? That's the Brickell building?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. Okay. I didn't know if that was exactly right. Okay.
Jacaranda's 3 over. The gold
Go-
one.
Melissa, can you go back or forward? No. Yeah. Which one are you talking about?
No, she was on the.
You were on the
Oh.
right side. Yeah.
I figured it, the mayor explained it. It's the Brickell building, the first one. I didn't know if you had two of the Jacaranda, but it's the Brickell building. The first one is the Brickell, and the fourth one is the Jacaranda.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, come up with a few more designs using the feedback from this meeting and getting a hard cost and maintenance cost after 2 or 3 years
Yes,
or a
ma'am.
hurricane.
Wait a minute. So I would think that they would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you.
That wouldn't be some kind of a preparation by the city to take down these signs just long enough for the hurricane to pass, rather than.
Sorry, we would take them down
Oh,
prior
okay.
to a hurricane.
Okay.
They're usually not that hard. The assembly is like a hose clamp. You put them up, but you just take off the flag itself, and then you kind of leave the assembly on there. Then when you're done, you go back and you put them up. It's pretty quick.
And Jessica, once the final selection is chosen, how long does it take for them to come back?
The production time? It depends on the company, but you can get these pretty quickly.
Okay. And so we should see, is it possible we should see them go up like during the spring? Or that's too early?
Depends on when they're approved. Yeah, I would say between ordering, well, the approval just depends on you guys, but by the time you order, get them and install them, I would say give it 6 weeks. It's pretty quick.
And while the lady's looking at them, have her do an additional one of the bandstand as well. I feel like the white and the pink just kind of meshes together. It's not really visible. Maybe even one of the ones that we had up there on the logo or something like that.
It didn't look, Melissa, would you go back one slide or forward? I wanted to see the gazebo bigger. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
It's just kind of hard to see it.
Yeah, because it's super washed out on here.
Okay, Donaldson Park. Yeah, go ahead.
Getting banners for 26 poles, so it's like this is specifically targeted at Main Street. But that south side conversation does need to happen. Once you decide on Main Street, do we want these same ones down in south side, or do you want a different sub-stack for south side?
You don't want to put the jacaranda flag in front of the jacaranda, the brickle flag in front of the brickle. Right. Right.
So if it's not in the CRA district, then we would just buy that out of the general fund.
So then we'd have to also put them down Lake Avenue, also on those decorative poles. And I think there's some down Lake, the other side. And if I'm not mistaken, do we have any around the little decorative poles around Walnut Street Park?
I don't recall them in
And I
there.
think there
But
might
I know
be,
there's a good amount on Lake, like you were talking about.
yeah, and I think there might be some over at Allie McWhite Park. Is there any poles
No,
over there?
but there's some around the Veterans Park,
That's where it
and
was, yeah.
there's also some on Delaney. And is it Harold McRae? I think it's Harold Delaney and Harold McRae.
So I got a question. When we get into, because a good amount of the poles, when you come down Main Street, they're in the interior portion until you get across, heading east and you get across the train tracks. When you get to Butler, then you start having them on the south side of on the sides where the sidewalks are, not on the interior portion. You want to just continue and then stagger them there, because from Butler to Verona, they're all throughout. So you could almost have 4 lights that are across the board, on one side in the middle, then on the other side, and you keep getting, from the east and westbound lanes of Main Street. You want to just do one on every single one of these poles. It does look good, like Shelley was saying. You don't want something missing, but at this point, do you just want to keep them going to the interior portion? Because some of them, you're going to have issues where the lights are into the trees, and they also have different size poles. So some of the poles that are on the sidewalks by, by the new Thankful Hearts, Nutrition, some of those places there, those are taller poles than what's on the inside. So, but in the interior, you have issues with trees and everything. And you just want to put them there, or do you just want to where they're more visible to make that call.
Personally, I would say every single decorative pole we have gets a flag.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Okay.
Apparently, it's not a good idea from the
No,
audience.
it's just a
Because we
surprise.
also have some down museum also.
Yeah.
The question is, are you committed to 200 flags, or 500 flags, or just 50 flags? Are you really having a marketing campaign? You have development that's starting in your community that house in a 2 city block, more population than may exist in 10 city blocks. You have a lot of apartments going up, you have a lot of south of town, outside of the state college, I'm not sure what it's called. I tried to get it working. But hey, I don't know if you can put them out, the reference of golf, out at River Green or at Pinecrest. That's not in our CRT. My question is, can we challenge the marketing campaign mentality over the overall narrative of a CRA? And go outside, but in the greater Avon Park area, and then are we committed to spend that type of volume of dollars for 100, 300 signs?
We certainly can ask the question.
That was where I was going with my misunderstanding of 26 poles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's about 100 poles, I think, and I had it on every fourth pole, so there was 24 banners.
But that was just in,
It's just Main Street.
thank you.
So the CRA can fund anything in the CRA boundaries. So we can think, 27, Memorial, the downtown corridor of Southside, South Florida State College. I mean, no, that's out of the boundaries. But anywhere in there where there's a large amount of traffic that you want to use something like this as a marketing to bring people to the area. Certainly could do that.
money, but I think to Bill's point, he was saying we tap in a general fund to do flat signage outside of that for a true campaign citywide.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the
Frederica
record.
Shepherd, 305 Ernest E. Sims Street on the south side.
Yes, ma'am.
None of those, beautiful for Main Street. I'm asking, and this is just a question, when we come to the south side, could we add, that's when the baseball would kick in, Bernice, pictures of Thomas, Harold, Aline Matt White, her park is there. If you want pictures of her, I have them. Clara Boone, not just tooting my mom's horn, but she taught everybody on the south side and on Main Street. Things like that, something that represents the south side. Those are beautiful, but nothing says south. You see what I'm saying? Nothing says south side. None of that says south side. And that's all. I'm just asking a question. I would like to see Thomas, Harold,
Ricky Cladd.
Ricky Cladd. Those are all
Snell.
football players. Went to college and came back. You know, people that are prominent on the south side.
I mean, there could be a way, so like for the baseball city sign, you could change that to where you show actual figures in that, right? And make it sort of more like a mural almost. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't do that. And then like for golfing, if we had a pro golfer, you could put the pro golfer that we had in the photo. You know, why not? Or if there's a prominent person that was known for being in front of the jacaranda, you could put them in the picture with the,
And my last question, what if a family member, myself, wanted to purchase a flag and actually put my mom on it? Is that feasible?
under
While
alternative funding sources, perhaps.
While she's waiting to answer that question, I think that's a great idea, Frederica. I don't think this room would know what the pride it would bring to the south side to see that people that made a difference on the south side. And I'm not saying that that wouldn't work for the north. I'm only speaking for the south side. That would bring so much pride to the south side to know that people that taught them and gave them integrity and all of that good stuff that comes with helping a person grow up to be who they want to be. I think that that would give the South Side a lot of pride, that they can see their school teachers and whoever else that helped them along the way and made them who they are today. That would give the South Side a lot of pride. I'm not saying that that won't give the North Side a lot of pride. What I'm saying is I know what it'll do to the South Side.
Let's do it.
So that's where we get into temporary versus permanent. The CRA can't take on something like that, but a nonprofit organization can. So in other towns, they do veterans displays on the banners, or they'll do the high school seniors at certain times of the year. But that's more of a private-public partnership. You have the organization taking on the administrative part of that, and then your public is then funding those banners. So there is a way to do it, just the CRA can't do it. It'd be a nonprofit organization.
Fort Meade did the same thing.
Correct.
Yeah, if you come up to the microphone. We'll pretend you didn't walk away.
In Bartow, certain family members were able to put up their parent that taught school. That's what I would like to do. Personally, for my mom, that, you know, my family get together, and maybe somebody else's family want to get together and put up to represent. Because I would like to see a picture of Miss. Half of the people on the South Side, the young people that are coming up, that go play at Aline Matt White Park, they don't know who Aline Matt White is.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I would like to see that.
Well, there's a precedent for it, so there's a possibility for that.
And I have a question for Jessica. So Jessica, if we did decide to go with pictures instead of, you know, different pictures of the city and what we offer, that makes, because we're going with pictures of images of people, that makes it temporary?
It just depends on how long you plan on leaving it up there. Is it a long-term
Until it
installation,
just
or is it
goes-
rotating?
Until a hurricane, just take them down.
Well, then, yeah, the sea. But then I guess you get into who are you representing and why, and it gets then. I feel like that's going to get really sticky really fast, just because somebody else is. So it'd best be suited for a nonprofit to take that on, not the city or the CRA.
So, okay, just brainstorming here on your little thing. So if we did the veterans, you said the veterans would be a nonprofit also.
Yeah, those are typically, ones I've seen are typically temporary around certain holidays, whether it's Labor or Veterans Day typically.
Because
And that typically is you pay for that through the nonprofit, and then that you send the photos and you get the information that goes on the flag, and then they take care of it from there.
Because then all of the veterans, even from the south side, would be south, north, east, west. The whole Avon Park would be displayed, all the veterans, not just people from the south side or people from the north side. It would be all of the veterans, no matter what side of town they lived on. But that would only be, I guess, for Veterans Day. I don't know if we would do it for Memorial Day, because
Typically, they'll put them up around Memorial and take them down right before Christmas. So that's usually their summer banner program.
Okay.
You could have one that shows the monuments that we have.
Yeah.
You know, a monument's something they can go visit anytime they want, kind of thing.
That's what I'm thinking too, for Veterans Park, is like the statues we have at the community center for the scout dogs, the military army.
Yeah, war dogs.
War dog. I think we should have little statues like that representing the military at Veterans Park, so that actually people can come up and see what soldiers and airmen or whatever look like. And then that's a permanent thing, whether it's through the CRA or through whatever. But I think that something permanent needs to be put at that location to show it off all the time, 24 hours a day. That's
Yes.
my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Again, Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park. Mr. Foster, Ms. Gray, and myself are probably the only ones in the room that have perhaps the memory of the agonizing exercise of going through and renaming all the streets in Avon Park once upon a time. Ms. Gray, you remember. And one of the reasons that it was so difficult is because the city, I think inappropriately at the time, had adopted a policy that we don't name any things, whether it be a street, a building, or anything along those lines, after a living human being, because we all have the potential for doing something really stupid and embarrassing not only ourselves, but then the city for having named something after them. Brenda's nodding her head. I know she is. Oh, Sutherland will remember too. And so I'm not as opposed to something that's temporary in nature as what you're discussing here this evening, because certainly if there was a banner near a wastewater treatment plant or a lift station that had my picture on it, that I did something stupid, it could easily be taken down, overnight. But I want you to be mindful of the fact that there was a reason that policy was adopted once upon a time. And I think it's important. And the late Al Johansson and I had a wonderful conversation when it came to renaming, if you will, the ball field down here. And it was the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Complex, as opposed to a street. And it was significant to name that facility in that way more than a street, because youngsters were going to be going in and out and in and out and in and out all the time, and it would have a significance to them every time they visited that facility. So I think it's important that we look at those types of things as you all as an entity and the advisory board as you consider these types of things. But I also want to back up to the baseball thing. It's not about, when we look at baseball or any other sport, about one individual's accomplishment as opposed to they went to the pros or so on and so forth. As some of you may know in the room, I have family members by marriage who are recognized as exceptional ball players and be in the museum. That being the case, I think the history of baseball in Avon Park, the decades over decades of championships that have been won, and not just people that have gone into the pros, but have excelled locally just by leading generations of young men and women to excel. And so I don't want us to get wrapped up around an individual's performance, but looking at the performance of a particular entity or agency or sport over a long period of time. And I would argue that baseball, more than any other athletic endeavor in Avon Park, is probably at a level that the others could only hope to attain. But as you go through this naming process and whether you do things, to me, Brenda, I'll ask you, I could see Dolores Blackman's picture at the Triangle Park down there, because nobody loved that park more than Dolores. And, and honoring her in that way. So yeah, I think it's a good idea, but in the temporal mode, and I think, individual fundraising, would be a good way to move towards that, as opposed to necessarily budgeting something every 2 years to potentially come out of the general fund, and, because something has deteriorated for whatever reason, sun, wind, rain, anything else that can happen. So those are just some observations and recollections of the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. Maria Sutherland, 900 West Main. If indeed it ends up being that nonprofits would end up doing their own thing, and I know this is kind of going outside of the marketing aspect of what the CRA is intending, and it's a whole different conversation, but if nonprofits ended up doing these banners in any way, would the city or the CRA pay for the hardware that goes on the poles? That right there would facilitate nonprofits' ability to actually raise the funds for the banners. I know of several places on the south side that could really use them right now, but a lot of these poles right now don't have any infrastructure. Some are actually leaning. But nonetheless, there are some on Helmut Gray and Delaney. But I know that there are a couple of nonprofits that would probably be willing to donate towards this cause if the city could install them, which is the other question. When it comes to changing these things out, who is going to do the installation? Who's going to take them down? Is it going to be the city that's going to provide that in-kind service? And can the nonprofits use that as part of their in-kind dollar count if they apply for grants themselves for something like this, outside, of course, of the CRA? So is the city going to be paying for the labor to install these banners? If they're going to do it for the CRA, will they do it for any nonprofit on the south side if the goal is to have these types of projects elsewhere in the city, on the city poles? So that would be a budget question, a labor question, and the frequency.
I've been in a few cities where we had to do this, so also as well, we get to the point where we install flags out there, like you know, the American flags on Veterans Day. So depending on, it's usually staff that comes in, and the staff will put it up, just like we assist with the volunteers who do an excellent job with the Christmas decorations. So staff can do it. If they're lasting that long, then 3 years, then it's not that hard on us. But more frequent, yes, it is. But we get assigned staff to do this. So I think we have enough people to take care of the tasks.
Okay. So obviously we have to get some more costs. We got to get some more designs and find out some answers to some of the pertinent questions of what exactly can we pay for, and whether it be banners or just the stands. So, anything else on the banners?
I think that's it. Just with hardware, we can do anything that's considered permanent and infrastructure. And the banner program is in our master plan, so it is allowable. It needs to be multi-years. It would not be able to be signage you're swapping out seasonally or even annually. So it needs to be a long-term, this is, you know, where you are type thing.
They define multi as 2+.
I would have to look that up. I'm not really sure. It needs to be on there for, I would say 3 years would probably be, but I would have to come back to that.
Understood.
Okay, so banners, Jeanette is gonna look into additional designs and pricing, and that was it, correct? And cost. Okay, next slide. Donaldson Park, the pickleball contract, or the pickleball was awarded the RFP, and we're awaiting the contract. Jason will be discussing that at the next council meeting. Next slide. Next slide. We'll just kind of go through Donaldson Park. You've all seen these renderings a few times. Splash pad. I believe I have a project update. Can you just go to the project slide? We have the splash pad. Next slide, the grants. We'll go back to the project list in just a second. So we initially, I think it was our October meeting, I'm looking at 5 different grant options. Currently, last year or years prior, we only had the facade and the demo. We were looking at the interior, the public art beautification activation grant, and a TIF incentive grant. We landed on the interior, so we currently have demo, facade, interior. Next slide. I had these flyers printed. Everyone should have seen these by now and gotten multiple to give out. We were a little delayed in getting that grant process approved, so it was the end of October. Moving forward, that time frame I don't think is the most advantageous to people. That's during the holidays and getting quotes, not the best time. So to date, we only have 2 current applications that are 90% complete. So next month when the advisory meets, or you all meet together, because the goal was, I guess you can talk about this whether you want to do it or not, to score those applications all together and then award based on highest priorities. So obviously if you don't have a ton of applications to score at one time, there is, I think, almost $300,000 in Main Street in grant funds. Currently, there's not 1/10. So do you need to score them? So these are things that we didn't know how it would land. Maybe the grant cycle, if you wanted to stick with that versus first come, first serve, would be better suited, maybe in June or something. So next slide. We went through this in detail, so I'm not going to go through the flyers and the grant program. Next slide. So I guess we'll go back and let you kind of just discuss for a second. Next month, February 12th, you're supposed to have a joint meeting to score this grant cycle was going to kick off and what you would like to do if we don't have X amount of applications or just go as is.
Okay, so we advertised it at ending on a certain time, so I think it would be a little bit unfair for those people that did apply if you didn't follow through with what you advertised and then just make corrections going forward. But just my opinion, obviously we probably should go for a longer period of time. As you say, a different time of the year might be a little bit better. Any other suggestions?
So if I'm understanding you right, Mayor, you saying the ones that did submit their application, go ahead and approve those, and then we.
Well,
do
whether we
the-
approve or deny, I'm just saying we advertise it as closing on a certain date.
Right.
And so obviously that date either is approaching or has already come. And it would be unfair if they knew it was going to end on a certain date to then say, okay, well, we're going to open it up for another 3 months or whatever.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can go ahead and consider those, and then if we want to open it back up for however long, go ahead and do that. But
I like that.
it seems unfair to push them back a few months.
I agree with that.
Yes. Oh, do you know the closing date, Jessica?
So applications are due by January 31st this month. And then everybody, they would get together, score it on February 12th. And it'd be awarded at that
We
point,
currently have 2, correct?
too.
Okay.
All right, the opening date, November 1st currently.
November 1st it opened, yes. So that was, I mean, it's hard to get things
Right.
done at this time of the year, so.
But you said you don't have a completed application yet.
We're waiting on some certificate of insurance, small things that we can get certainly by the end of the month.
Do you have an opinion on considering them or pushing it back?
If we don't have a completed application yet, I
Right.
don't have a problem expanding the date.
Well, I agree.
If we have people have actually, at this meeting, have completed the document and done everything, then yes, I agree. We went out and told what we were gonna do. But if there's not a completed one on file on January 5th, 2025, or 26, thank you. I don't have a burden by expanding it another 30 days.
Agreed. My only comment was just that it would be unfair if they already have submitted them. So,
Yeah, but
I foresee we have 2 fully completed grants by the end of the month. Now, maybe there'll be more come in, but it's just logistics at this point. Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you move forward, or you'll be moving forward with the way that we set it. It ends at 31st. You will score what we have, and then at that point, you'll decide if you want to go month to month, like we were doing, or if you'd like to open up another grant cycle.
I definitely like the grant cycle idea. I think we should probably go again. It'd just be up to the board of how long we go for. I don't think month to month is ideal. Probably should go for blocks. That way we can, if we get a sudden influx of 15, then we can actually weed through those and select the best ones. You're definitely going to wind up getting more effective dollars spent that way, I
So you're saying like cycles?
feel.
Mayor?
Yeah.
So what
So
about,
like perhaps like October 1st. The year starts October 1st, right, for the city?
Yeah.
So October 1st to,
Yeah, you could do them quarterly. You could do them
Quarterly, yeah.
biannually. you could
right,
do
like
'em-
like quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that's like do a dual, like 2 separate? Do you see something working like that in your?
Yeah. I would even say next year, I mean, as we're planning quarterly or even twice a year, like Wauchula doesn't do it. They only do it a couple times a year, depending on budget. So they open it up and then they start marketing that and then they get those in.
Right, because
So-
we lost time too. I didn't mean to cut you off. We lost time anyway too, because we couldn't get things pushed down quick enough, right, from October to November? Was that one? of the
Correct.
things
Yeah, we didn't. There was a few delays there.
I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to.
No.
Maybe it is more advantageous to do maybe a cycle or 2, to your point there.
Yeah,
That
so-
way you have people have their stuff together enough for the first cycle, they still have a chance to go to the second.
Yep.
I'm finding right now it's just people don't know about it. People do not know there's a grant available, and we've done social, we've done newspapers, we've done these meetings, I've done the flyers. So at this point, I just need you guys to be the ears and eyes and mouthpiece of the city and letting people know that as you're in a business, that this is available, and we do want to help our business community. So
The more articles that get published that say, we were willing to spend money and nobody asked for it. It's gonna affect.
So Ms. Jessica, so let me make sure I understand. We are still talking about block grants for residential as well, right?
correct.
So here's the problem I'm having. I spent the last couple of months riding through, different neighborhoods, and I've knocked on a couple of doors. Here's the problem I'm having with that block thing. When we talk about a block, are we talking about just from one end of the street to the other end of the street, or are we going around the block and coming back? Are we talking two streets? When we talk about block, tell me what we're talking about.
We were just talking about segregated areas, and it doesn't mean they wouldn't get funded. The way that scoring criteria was set up, that wasn't they necessarily wouldn't, get the grant. It gave them a few extra points if they were all in one block together.
Right.
So
And so I've been looking for the blocks that would probably qualify more than the next one, right? Because I think we're looking at scores here, right? Here's the problem I'm running into, and I can tell you, it's not that we don't have the houses or, work to do. It's just that I'm having problems that everybody don't own the house that they stay in. And they're having problems with their landlord. And so I thought the reason why you came up with this is because you once sat down and talked to me and you said, when I go out and talk to people at different houses, there's a house over here and a house over there and a house. We really not seeing the big picture, all that. We want to see where we made a big difference, right? And so that was one of the reasons why the block came up. Well, the problem is everybody don't own all the houses. And a lot of the tenants are having problems with the landlord. A lot of tenants are having problems with the landlord, and so not that the houses don't need to be done, not that the landlord houses don't need to be done. It's just that I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna get a whole block when all of them is not owned by who live in there. And some of them don't even know who the landlord is, okay? So I'm having some problems with the block thing. And I agree with you. To have a whole block done at one time, oh, that would be a beautiful sight. But I'm having problems trying to get a whole block. And so I asked the question again. Are we talking from one end of the street to the next end of the street? Or are we going down that street and going to the next street and the houses that facing each other and the houses that butted up to each other? What are we calling a block?
that is very specific. I do not know is the answer to that. I think that would be, the goal is we see who all applies, and if they're in the same area, same-ish blocks, then let's give them a few extra points, because doing 4 houses within a similar area is going to make a bigger impact, to your point, than doing it all over town. But in Southside specifically, we only have 20 grand in there that says 4 houses. So, getting a whole block to apply is probably not going to happen. But if we got 20 houses apply and 3 of those were in a similar block, we'll then give them a few extra points, was the whole point of that. What's that? 20 grand.
So that's only 4 houses.
That's 4 houses.
I don't need to give out all of mine, huh?
Yeah.
I need to. Oh well, I just go up on the north side and give them out on the north side.
Even the business corridor there in Southside, it would be great if one of those businesses would apply as well. So,
Would it be appropriate to, the tipping point would be if there's money left? We do another run in April and May, and if the budget has not been exhausted to 0, then we do another one for August, September. Is that what I'm hearing, or is that just made up in my mind?
Yeah, it ends up being
I thought the objective was to go to 0 on all these funds.
That was certainly my point, is to keep doing rounds until it's all gone. I mean, we had no idea if this round was going to get good
Correct.
success or not. So
Yep.
it used to be open all the time, and the thought was that there was no urgency because it's always open, and we never spent all the money. So why do it right this minute? You can do it in 6 months. But with having the closed window, it would inspire people to, I better go ahead and get this in. And it obviously hasn't had that effect yet, but it could be that people don't know about it. So to your point, I would say keep opening it up until we arrive at our zero goal.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're still set for, it closes, as you're talking to people, January 31st is the last date we're accepting. It has to be a complete application. All documentation has to be in place on January 31st, or they will be delayed until you decide to go month to month or open up to a new cycle. And then you will meet on February 12th to score and award those grants. Okay, any other questions?
The new contact for the CRA applications, do you have any difference there? You wanna say who that is?
So we've already funneled all of my emails to Jeanette, and there's a generic email on that application. It's just CRAgrants@avonpark.city.
People can come visit her in the same location as they did before. There's no difference.
So we've spent about 2 weeks together, so she's got it.
So are we gonna keep them quarterly, or we just haven't got that far yet?
I haven't got that for you.
Okay.
Anything else on the grants?
Brenda Gray, 410 East Lakeview Drive, Avon Park, Florida. I must have missed something here. Did we skip over the 2026 projects and we went to grants? That's what I was waiting for. I have a question on that. On the agenda, number 4, C4, it says 2026 projects, and then that's 3, and then 4 says 2026 grants process.
Well, we can go back if you'd like to do
Yeah,
that.
I just got a question on it. I need to say who I am again. I'm okay.
Is there one in particular?
Yeah, just one question. In reference to the 2026 projects, I pulled up the agenda and I looked at the project listing, and I didn't see here, at the last workshop, I think it was July 16th, 2025, at the workshop, I asked about parking space for Veterans Garden. I think I talked to Ms. Jessica and the city manager, and I brought it up at one of those workshops. And I didn't see that project on here. So is the city gonna fund that, or what's gonna happen on that?
Is that on any of our roster at this point, or?
So if you go back to a few slides, there's a lot of slides. So go back where it says South Side. We talked about South Side budget really quickly.
Yes.
All right, go back. You can just zoom back. Just keep on pressing. There you go. Yep. All right. One more. Yep. So over here, it's budgeted. So this is where everything's been budgeted, or everything's been vision cast. We budgeted. So now we need to get down into the specifics of these budgets, and there needs to be project management. And so the gardens you're talking about, there was 100 or 50,000 to, let me tell you the exact amount. There was 50,000 to Memorial Garden and 50,000 to a community garden. So Memorial Garden was 50,000. Those are conversations that we need to have in terms of what that looks like. I've talked to several people, and we just need, I don't know what parking or where, but I would have that conversation with Jeanette and start getting into the specifics of that.
Memorial Garden, that's what you're talking about? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Parking for that Veterans Park.
Right.
Veterans Garden, and it could be, I may not be talking, we may be talking about the same thing, or I don't know. Which one are you talking about?
Parking part of the current project that we have on the books? That's the real question.
That's the question.
Yeah, and so it sounds like we don't quite know the answer to that at this moment.
I think Jessica is calling it Memorial Garden, but.
Veterans Garden. Is it Veterans Garden? Okay. Sorry, I said I may be calling it the wrong thing.
Right.
But does what you have on your paper include parking?
Parking.
We didn't narrow down into specifics of what those dollar amount look like.
So we haven't gone out and got actual bids for anything yet.
Okay, so when would that process come about, or how would it come about?
It's at a future meeting, obviously, but.
Just want to bring some, this is the garden with the flags, the Memorial Garden.
Yes.
I mean, space-wise, there's really not much space to put anything. However, I know that they had a property for sale directly across the street. If they wanted to put in, if we end up changing somehow, they're trying to go to adjust the zoning, and then put in some kind of block so we don't have to deal with the stormwater, like a strengthened, it's like, see the block where the grass grows in between, it's pervious. So we put something like that potentially for that garden. I mean, I think last time I recall, they were selling that property for like $10,000 or $15,000. So right across the street from it. So that's the only place I see parking. Unless we have right of way, but we don't even have enough space really to do. I don't think we have the right of way space. Haven't looked at it, but that's the other alternative.
Yes, there is there's two lots available, and one of them is owned, and I put it up on the website, by a gentleman in Orlando. And the property value is only like $2,100. So, I wanted to bring that to the city council's, to the CRA and the council's attention, because we have a very nice park there. We don't have any place to park. No place to park at all. And I know you say the guy was, I guess you all checked into it and say, but asked for $10,000, what have you.
Yeah, it was on Zillow. I was looking at something potentially over there in the past, but it's that was for sale. And if you direct me to look into that, we can look into that and come back and see what the hurdles are to get there and let you know the cost.
Is anyone opposed to looking at that on the board or advisory?
No,
I think it's a great idea.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
Look into it.
Okay,
I
we'll do.
appreciate that
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
so
for the direction.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Thanks, Brenda.
All right. What else do you have there, Jessica?
I'm going to break down the budget. I know we kind of really briefly hit on budget. So in Main Street, we've got $250 in facade grants. Demos was about $50. Mall beautification was $300. Again, that's an FDOT conversation Jason will have at a different date. Gateway signage, we've got $250,000. Then we had almost $1 million in special projects in Main Street, which was $800 for Donaldson, $125 for Walnut Park, $50,000 for Central Park, $50,000 for banners, and there was $10,000 for technical assistance. And Southside, we, again, breaking down the budget, we got $20,000 for facade grants, $50 for demos. That amount could, because we're not doing a lot of demos, that amount could be moved up to facade grants, again, just depending on what type of interest you get in that program this year. For special projects, we've got $180 for memorial lighting, $40 or $80,000 for 2 fishing piers, $115 for a seawall in Lake Tulane, $50,000 for community garden, which Mr. Bates will be bringing to the CRA. $50,000 for banners, $50,000 for wayfinding, $50,000 for Memorial Drive. That was some type of sidewalk furniture, benches, things like that was discussed. $100,000 for street lighting, safe to school. Patricia Shepard would be your contact for that, who's brought that up. And then $50,000 for Memorial. Jason's looking into the lighting things with Duke. So he can hit on that. Airport, we've talked about the demo out there was $15,000. Signage, that's a gateway and wayfinding, was $100, and then the special projects being the $50,000 for airport, $30,000 for Classic Caladium, and $50,000 for Durham Martin. So at this point, the budget is in place. We've had some turnover, and once city manager is final, we need to really start narrowing down what that looks like to expend those dollars. Pump track, this was an idea for Walnut Park. This could be a future project. I did meet with a salesperson from a company. They have a piggyback Sourcewell, and it's a really cool idea. It would be a way to add something really different to downtown Avon Park to connect Donaldson Park, down the mall, up through Walnut Park. Now, to do something like that, I don't know, it's kind of noise. It is a residential neighborhood park, but thinking through that park is not heavily used right now. How can we make better use of that green space? They did restripe the basketball court. We've talked about soccer field out there, and then potentially there is space for something really interesting like this to do that whole downtown connection of being a more active community. So something to think about.
Okay, at this point, Jessica, I think it was Jim. I may be wrong, but I think it was Jim that had asked something about the tennis court at Walnut.
Yes.
So what did you look, we're moving all the tennis courts from Donaldson Park, are we not? And so I know for a fact that there are people that go up there and they play tennis every morning. And so Jim had said something about, I'll let Jim say it.
Well, we have a lot out there that we could build one, and the fact that there was some interested people that, like you said, the one downtown is not that used that during most of the daytime or even nighttime. Like years ago, it was used at night. But it's like if we're going to remove it, there was, I think Jason found a piece of property that was perfect for it. If I'm not correct, Jason, that would be easy for us to put a tennis court out there?
Yeah, so the times when I was working here in the past, and then when Jessica came on board, it was separate times. So part of that Walnut Street Park. So the area that we were looking at the time was over by where the recycling area is in the Walnut Street Park, by the, just west of where the water tanks are that are there.
It was a big field.
So there's an area that we could put something there, or we can go in. I mean, this can go where we were talking about the little soccer fields with the artificial turf. We can put that in there. It's all up to whichever way we ultimately want to go. I do know that when we were putting in for the grants for that park, that we had to identify what it is that we were putting out there for the FERDAP grant. So you got scored based off of what it was. So it's like if you're putting a jogging trail, you get this many points. If you get, and I remember doing that. I don't know where a pump track would be in that. We're starting to get a little bit clogged up, but there may be other areas that, not too far away that we can do this.
So Jason, you're saying that if we do decide to do the pump track, we can't do the soccer and the tennis court there. All three of them wouldn't fit there.
Yeah, that area, because you have the basketball court, so you would have to basically put that pump track from what I'm, it would need to be, because there's a building that we have for our water facility that's there, and it would probably have to be just west of where the basketball courts are. We'd have to figure out if we're going to do something there, or we do the tennis court. So might be picking one or the other, but I think we have enough land in the city if it need be. If we got to find something, I'm sure we can make something work.
So right now, we only got a basketball court there, right?
Yes, in looking at it, what I think that we could potentially do, it was some kind of, I was working with the person that was in charge of the solid waste in the county, and seeing if we can move the recycling over to by where the church is, by the railroad tracks, and that location where the old Jonna plant. So I was trying to see, because it's already got concrete and everything there, and I was trying to get them to move that over into that location. And so their response at the time was, everyone knows where it is, and it's a good spot, and it works out well for us. I said, yeah, but if we're going to make this into a nice park, now we got a bunch of roll-off dumpsters there. Just if that's the route we end up going, it kind of cuts back on some of our spacing, because there is topography in that location where it goes downhill, so you do have to adjust that. But I really was trying to get that area more industrial nature into more of an industrial zone over into over there by the railroad tracks where the old Johnny plant was.
So let's just assume that the waste cycle can be moved. If it could be moved, or is this council decided to move it, can we then put the pump track and a tennis court out there where the basketball court is now? Can they both be added there? Yeah. That'll be another park for the city, and it's offering something different.
It's a pretty big piece.
It's pretty big. It could accommodate it. In my opinion, it was the challenge. It can accommodate it.
Yeah, if you look at the wastewater, there's basically like 3 tracts of land. The water treatment's on one, and then the basketball's on the furthest. There's this big middle section, so that's where they were looking at in terms of potentially doing something like this. We would need an RPAC. I would need because it's probably depending on what you do, 250 to 400. There's not one of these between Tampa and Okeechobee. Just they were my. That's who I spoke with about this, and it's been very popular. A little baby can ride it on a tricycle, or they have an 80-year-old lady that gets out there on a little trike and rides it. So it's just something safe and off the road for people to do. So.
And I think if we spin them, like say we spin the 2 tennis courts on the long ways, so if we spin them going into the direction just going east to west instead of north to south, how we're looking at it, I think it'll work out.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I'm, being right there at the Donaldson Park, there is a lot of use on the tennis courts, more than there was before we even started the conversation about the pickleball. Perhaps it's related, perhaps it's not. So I'm glad that Bernice brought that up, because there is several groups, I'm going to say in the teens, of people who are using those, daily, if not,
Pickleball,
Yeah.
tennis court.
Right.
Yeah. And since we've redid the court surface, the amount of kids that I've seen out, because
Yeah.
I pass by there all the time, there is a large amount of kids. There could be 10, 15, 20 kids out there waiting to play, which I used to hardly ever see that.
And,
That's
and
good to
to
hear.
Bernice Taylor's point, it may be better to get ahead of this so that we don't have that pushback when we start. Because there will be. I just have that feeling. I've been kind of counting in my day planner, and yeah, there's a good, 4 to 5 people a day, which is a 2 hour, whatever you want to say. I mean, it's multiple people.
Yeah, I've had,
I agree.
residents come to me and say, I heard you guys was taking the tennis courts, and I'm like, okay, you guys, I'm not sure where you were, but that has already been decided. No, y'all can't don't do that to us, don't do that to us, and that's how I found out. Some mornings I ride up there just to see, ride by there, just to see if they're up there, and they're up there, and they're playing tennis.
It's a lesson too, it's a lesson with kids, so I really don't want to, you get the point. I don't want to
Time of day.
create ourselves a problem if we don't do something.
7:30,
Sure.
8.
Okay.
Quick question. For the pump track, also can we,
Is that mic on?
I don't think it is, but I think my voice is projected. For the pump track, can we also put a circular track around the pump track for the general public that's roller skate?
I have seen pictures where people roller skate. Use anything with wheels on here, so you can roller skate on these
On
very
there.
easily. Yes.
Okay, but I'm talking about like the 4 or 5. Well, I'm not. People like 8 or 9 years of age. They want to just roller skate without the bumps and the lumps.
Yeah. We can do whatever you guys want.
Just saying. I mean, just around the track, because people might not want to go on the bumps and the lumps. They just want to glide. They just want to glide.
Are you saying all around the edge of the road?
It's just a circle around, like a little track around it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one idea would be the same thing you're saying, but around the whole property to make it more like a jogging trail. As well.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you
something
can-
like that.
I don't know what the actual length of it is, but it could work out.
I will say we have, they do provide rendering services, so parks and recreational activities is something the community is very passionate about. So once you get to the planning stages of this, potentially going out for a workshop and having people kind of give your ideas. And people are, really, they want basketball at Donaldson Park, volleyball, a place to rollerblade, there's a big soccer community here. There's nowhere for kids to play soccer. So, that would be a really good opportunity to get the community involved to figure out what they would want in these parks. Any other idea? So Walnut Park, there is money there, 125. You could start on that project, or at least go out for rendering services for, the long-term plan of that. There's plenty of money to do that. Next slide. Downtown Dog Park. I have been talking with Galen Thomas in detail about this. She has an uncle that has a piece of property behind the library. So there's nothing written in stone, just kind of this was something that has been in the works. She's been talking to her uncle about potentially some type of trade or the city buying that, or how can we get a downtown dog park where we could become a dog-friendly community where maybe you could go to the dog park, walk down Main Street, hit, is there some type of loop that we could do? So just throwing this out there that it is in the works, and Galen would be your contact if someone brings up a dog park. Next slide. Centennial. Later this month, I believe it's January 21st, Avon Park turns 100. So we did set aside, I believe, 10 grand to do something in Avon Park this year to celebrate that. Obviously, it's best to partner with other nonprofits to be the marketing arm of that. So just throwing it out there that this is in the budget. Next slide. We did the Watercross last year. Visit Sebring has put us on their tentative schedule for this next year. This was more about economic development hat, not necessarily CRA. Next slide. FDOT, the transfer, and the road diet's been a big topic of conversation. We're not going to get into that, but that is something that people want to know a lot about from a purely economic development standpoint. So I will let you guys talk about that at a later date. Next slide. Social media, really just the branding. That was the very beginning. There's not been a whole lot of economic development in terms of city effort. So we undertook the city's Facebook page, just did some updates to the website, community events, trying to streamline that process. Next slide. Over the last 3 months, we've had about 1.6 million impressions. People do care what's going on in the city. Next slide.
Hold on, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
What was it before? This is 25, 1.6 million? What's the length of time?
It's 3 months.
3 months. And before that, what was it? Do you have any idea?
Very little.
Very little.
Yes.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Next slide. Well, back to that, we started out with, there was, I think, about 2,000 followers. We're a little over 5 now, so we've doubled the follower count. And really, the whole point of that was not to, people need to see the positive Avon Park. People are on social media, so it has played a role in at least changing the direction. People, perception is reality. So what people are seeing, they are believing. So just pushing more of, here's new businesses, here's things going on from a very organic standpoint, seems to have been very receptive. We do have an app that is very underutilized. Again, these are more public information officer, social media, marketing, economic development hat of things I've been taking on, but there is an app that would be very useful for people that are not on social media, whether that's, you see a lot of cities going towards newsletters and recapping minutes and things like, just ways that we can inform the community of what's happening within their city. Next slide.
Jessica, excuse me, would the name of the app, do you know what that is, the name? Is that the Go something?
The City of Charm app.
What? City of what?
City of Charm.
You didn't go with Visit Sebring.
Huh?
No, but I remember that we talked about one that was going to cost $50 a month, and I don't know if it ever got utilized or not. That's why I was asking what the name of it was. Something similar to GoPro, but I know that's not.
I think it's under that hat, correct, Melissa?
GoGo.
Yes, it is GoGo.
GoGo.
It's-
We do have it, yes.
It's GoGov, but you go to app and go to City of Charm and it downloads from there. No one's really using it. And so that's an easy win for the city. Because a lot of people, they get really upset with these boil water notices. They're not on Facebook and they don't know until after the fact. So there has to be a better way, whether we're doing push notifications or phone calls or text messages or something to get that word out. Next slide. Partnering with our local agencies, economic development hat, just working with organizations like Visit Sebring with the kiosk. Next slide. If there's ever a question, I've tried to clean up the website for CRA. The most recent documents are there, but there's a link to older documents, and everything to do with our grant application is on there. It's just avonpark.city/CRA. So I kind of narrowed down our link, so that should be easy to remember. Next slide. Before we play that, I also, there was no handbook, there was no real direction when I came on board, so I did create a handbook. I won't make you suffer through that. It is about, let's see, 23 pages, and really for whoever was to step in this role to go over things that I was doing, how I did it, where it is, where it's located, and take it or leave it. But it was board and governance operations was number one, grant program operations, finance and budget management, legal, and all the FRA certifications, economic development, marketing, communications, and events, other duties and strategic reports, support, project management, capital initiatives, and then organization development and trying to do the more building a culture around CRA. So Jeanette knows where that handbook is. Everything, the process on how I've been doing everything is in that handbook. Does anybody have any questions before I play this
Great
video?
idea, and thank you very much. That was perfect.
Jessica, the last question is you said that the City of Charm app is not being used that often, right? How are we advertising it to let people know we have an app? How is the CRA advertising?
Well, it's not really a CRA initiative. It's more of a city. We need a true public information officer at the city level that's really being able to disseminate all of this information out to the public. There's no one really to be able to handle all of these tasks at this moment.
Okay, well, let me say this. When you wanted to get the residents of Avon Park and even the alumni of Avon Park, when you wanted to get them involved in the different samples that you was putting out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be a good way to advertise and let them know about the app as well?
Absolutely.
Because it was a big response, right?
Yeah, I think any way we can get this information out. So anytime I'm doing presentations or, I've done several podcasts and things that I try to talk about these kind of things. It's word of mouth at this point because we can't really pay for advertising. The best way to do it, I think we have a lot of water customers. There's an opportunity to start putting some of these things on the bottom of water bills. We have a City of Charm app, download here. We can use QR codes. We can let people, that is a way that we're already mailing those things out or emailing or however people get their water bills. I'm not really involved in that process, but that would be my recommendation.
Which the City of Charm app, Shelley, is the GoGov. I just looked it up. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about the economic development, CRA handbook, or anything that we talked about?
Do we have any plans for the 100-year anniversary?
We do not. No, I met with the Main Street organization and the chamber at one point. Dr. Kelly and I, it just got budgeted in October, and so there's been several changes, and at this point, no, there's been no discussion.
Any suggestions from any board members or anybody in the audience of which direction to go with the celebration, what scale, what should we do?
What's the celebration date? January what?
It's the end of this month, so that's too soon. So, I mean, even if you combined it with 4th of July, I mean, we're at, 250 years now? I mean, there is a way, maybe just do bigger fireworks or something, whatever the city wants to spend that 10 grand on. I mean, 10,000 on fireworks doesn't go very far. So, it's really up to you what you want to do. And is it a festival? Do you want to build onto a festival? Do you want it to be its own festival? Do you want to do a parade? I mean, there's different ways you could go about it.
Sure. Well, if anybody comes up with any ideas, please let the city know.
Okay, with that, if you want to play the video.
Every great story begins with a spark. Ours began right here in the City of Charm. A place where neighbors wave and mornings feel like home, where small town pride runs deep. And every day feels a little brighter. Art fills our walls, music fills our streets. Main Street hums again, alive with food, laughter, and pride. Here, creativity meets community, and every day feels like something worth celebrating. Just a short drive from the coast and a world away from the rush. Come find your spark in the heart of Avon Park.
So that was a partnership with Frank Bronca, and that was, again, more economic development. If somebody pulled the curtain back of City of Avon Park and looked in, is it something that seems appealing to them? So this is a branding initiatives. And so I'd like to get this on our website at some point. We do need to update our website because we can't really do much of this kind of things and more interactive forms and video on our site right now, but that would be the goal so that people really see all the goodness that there is here in Avon Park. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to serve for the last 10 months. Thank you very much.
Great
Thank
job.
All right, is there anything else for this joint meeting? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned. And thank everybody for coming.
Thank you.